A very good afternoon, good morning, and good evening from wherever you're watching us. Yes, we are back live. Another exciting show where I present to you some of the greatest personalities from all over the world. Now, today we are blessed to have a king all the way from the southern part of Africa. He is the official ambassador for Malawi tourism and culture, just recently appointed by His Excellency President Chakwera. Now, today we want to talk about one of his passion, empowering the youth. And if you're watching all the way from Malawi or any part of the world, you are welcome, because he is a perfect example of how the youth can make it anywhere in the world. Help me welcome the one and only TAY GRIN, the Nyao King. Do you know what? Drum roll.
What an
Wow.
intro. Thank you for having me, Pauline.
What an intro, as in, no, I haven't done that intro justice, have I? Wow.
Thank you for having me.
It's, when somebody sees you and they see how, you walk into a room, you present yourself, there's a certain mystery. Everybody gets confused. I mean, we've just done the Diaspora Economic Forum, the
Yes.
Africa Day
Yes.
Awards, and when you walked in, there was a frenzy. Everybody was like, "Who is this guy?"
I think that's just the way I have grown up.
Right.
And I think your identity comes from embracing your culture.
Right.
Everywhere I go in the world, I go as the Nyao King.
Right.
And that's just years of just soaking up culture, soaking up, the heritage of where I come from, Malawi, and promoting that everywhere I go. So I think that, that wow factor, is caused by people just experiencing something different, something new, and Malawi is in the room at the time. So it's that aura, it's that energy. I come from a country called the beautiful warm heart of Africa. So I try and, resonate that every time I step into any room.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't grow up in Malawi.
In
per
Malawi,
se.
no.
Yeah.
No, so I was born in the States.
Right.
And my mom, obviously at the time, was finishing her school. When she went back to Malawi, we stayed in Malawi for a couple of years, and then she started moving because she got a job with the UN. So those who know UN families, you tend to have 1 year here, a couple of months
So
in
all
that
over the
country.
world, you live in different countries.
I managed to
Yes.
travel quite a bit. And I think that was very helpful for me, because I was introduced to so many different cultures at a very young age. And I got to appreciate where I come from. So my mom had this thing where we would go back home at the end of every year, every December.
Right.
All the family would come together back home in Malawi, and we'd go to the village, and that's where we'd spend the whole month.
Not in the city.
Not in the city.
Wow.
In the
You look like a city boy, but you know what? There's a twist to it.
Yes.
You're that city boy, that modern man, but you always carry an element of your culture
Do you know,
in you.
I
find that fascinating.
Thank you very much. I always feel like it's, again, important to have a representation of who you are.
Yeah.
But when you travel as much as I have and, experience that from a very young age, you also realize that it's also important to also acknowledge other people's cultures and other people's ways. How do you do that? But also, sometimes just understanding, getting to know what those cultures look like. Sometimes even their fashion. How do I fuse that with what I am? And then you create something that's very uniquely yours, to a point where even when people listen to it, even the music that I make has a lot of elements that people are accustomed to, sounds that you're accustomed to.
Right, yes.
But once my drums come in,
Yes.
then it's like it takes you all back to Malawi, and they're like, ooh, what is that? And we want to know more. So I believe everyone's able to do that. We sort of get inspiration from different cultures, different people, and things that we see around the world, but always have that element of who you are, grounded, your foundation, and then you can put ornaments around that building.
That's right, because let's get back to your music.
Yeah.
It's a fusion of hip-hop and
Yes.
African music. I don't want to say Afrobeats.
No,
because
so
Afrobeats is a whole different
Yes.
level.
So I call it Nyao music.
Nyao music. Oh, wow. Tell
Nyao
us.
music. And the reason it's called Nyao music, again, it goes back to my title, the Nyao King.
Right.
And being a Chewa, our tribe has a very what we call the big dance, Gule Wankulu.
Gure Wankulu. Right.
You know, and these dances happen for a variety of reasons. It could be celebrations. It could be you know, in time of mourning. They're spiritual dances. In other countries, they're called masquerade dances.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So my music stems from my culture, which is the Chewa tribe, and our dancing, our rhythms, our drums, you know, our stories, where we come from, and I've sort of fused that into my music, and created this, you know, world where now you are able to understand a bit more of the Chewa culture, Malawi traditions, and so forth and so on. And I always find that that sound in its own has changed the landscape of Malawi, because now you find that a lot more young people are drawing more into their cultures.
Are they drawn into it?
Of course,
yeah,
of
because
course.
you have a huge following when it comes to the young people. But you know, the world has changed now. The internet has made the world small. You know, people can borrow cultures from everywhere. I mean, when I was growing up in Kenya, we kind of resonated with the U.S. culture. Although we were colonized by the British, we always, you know, like to dress like people from the U.S., you know, speak like them, you know, everything. Like you know, R&B music and all of that. But I find it fascinating that you were born in the U.S., but you haven't really, you
gravitated towards that.
Towards that.
Right.
You've insisted on your own culture. Is there a specific reason why? Because when somebody meets you and they see you, they'll think that, you know, you're kind of like, you know, that modern culture, you know, but really you're not, you know. So is there something that made you, you know, decide that, you know what, I am sticking with my Malawian culture, even though I wasn't born there, but my heritage is from, you know, Malawi?
You know, there's a saying that I have always heard growing up. It's a Chichewa saying, and it says, they say Zakumunzi, which means like village stuff or things.
Zakumunzi, yeah.
Things
Are you
from the
fluent
village.
in Chichewa?
Yes, I'm very fluent in it.
Oh, really?
All my music
Okay.
is a combination of a variety of languages, and Chichewa is one of them. But that particular word for me has never sat well with me, because it's a way that a lot of, I think, people look at. You know, if you embrace culture in Africa, they say, well, his village,
like he's the village boy. Even if anyone ever told you that you're a village boy, would you feel offended?
No, I'm actually a village boy. I am a village boy. Because for me, a village boy means cultured.
Okay.
That's what it means for me.
No, but you know, for us, if somebody said that
but now
village
I would love
it's
to
an insult.
I would love to change that mentality.
Yeah.
From that mindset to say a village boy or someone whose village is backward or
should not be like backward and an insult, because that's what they'll say. It's village girl.
But that villageness or whatever you think that is, that's the culture. That's the element of where we come from, and I think it's been distorted over history and time.
Yeah.
You know, where we are not proud of who we are, where we come from, and we start looking towards other cultures. We want to dress like them, as you've said. We want to sound like them. Whereas if we embrace who we are, sound like who we are, because that's who we are. You can't. Even if you go to a different country and you want to emulate what they're doing, they can tell that, well, this person is not from here.
Yeah.
You're trying to talk like us, but you're not from here. The reason they say that, that's the culture. That's the village aspect now.
Okay. Now you're turning it the other way around. You're the villager because you're trying to copy someone's culture.
You're trying to copy someone else's culture.
Yeah.
Whereas we need to just embrace, first of all, our own, and that transforms your own country. That's where the transformation starts.
And what a better person to carry that mantle than you? Because the youth now feed on what they see on the internet.
Yes.
And when you come out, they see all the places. You're well-traveled. I mean, I don't know, your passport should be so busy.
I keep changing that thing.
You're always on the plane. And now, can I say, now you have a diplomatic passport, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're on a different level.
Yes.
So, yeah, but as I said, you know, you're well-traveled. You've seen different cultures, and the world now, with a lot of youth feeding from the internet, how would you be convincing them that, you know what, let's embrace our culture and not copy that way and this way and that way?
Well, for instance, I'm an example. I've been doing music for 20 years. I'm celebrating 20 years this year.
Really?
in the music industry. And anyone in
Whoa.
the music industry will tell you that 20 years is a long time.
It is a long time.
Especially for me being at the top of the music industry in my country. It is
Whoa.
a very long time. And how have I managed to do that? By being original, creating music that has, that's my identity, that comes from a specific country of Malawi. You can't find that sound anywhere else in the world. Even the drums I used to play my music are so authentic that you have to light them by the fire so that the skin tightens, and then you get this beautiful, I call it a spiritual sound.
So you still record your music traditional way?
No, I mean we use modern devices, obviously, but the instruments that we use are still our cultural instruments, and we have over 1,000 of those. So imagine instruments that you've never heard sounds of before, and now you're listening to them in different songs, and you can resonate with the music because music is spiritual. But this is how I've crafted my music, and that has brought me so much recognition internationally. So for the young people back at home, I say to them, here's an example of a person who's been tapping into our culture for over so many years, and has gotten all these awards and international accolades, and is sustaining his music career at the highest level doing this sound. Because the thing is, when you copy trends, when you copy sounds that are coming in from elsewhere, it's not yours.
That's right.
So you are basically waiting for them to change it, so you follow that trend. But when you create your own sound, you have an identity, and at any given point, you can then portray to the world your music and fuse it with other people and grow music genres for your own country and create a legacy.
That's right. I mean, Nigeria's got it right.
100%.
They've refused to emulate other cultures.
And all they've done
Southern
is
Africa,
they've refined their sound over years, starting with Fela Kuti and coming to the to Baba's generation, moving on to now what you have. And I think that's what we all need to do, and that's what I've advocated for, especially back home with the music industry, is to say to all creatives, to all artists, tap into your originality, tap into your cultures, tell your story, because someone else will come and tell them for you. And I don't think
it will be distorted.
You won't like the way it sounds.
It'll be 70% true and probably 30% false.
Yes.
Okay, so you're in the UK right now doing a tour, but not for music.
No.
Interestingly, you've just been appointed the country's ambassador.
Yes.
For tourism and culture, and I think the president added youth to it.
I saw that. I saw that.
Talk about being appointed and not knowing that actually you're also the youth.
I was humbled. Wow. I mean, I saw it, and rightfully so after the awards, which for me, I gave a speech and I said to them, to the audience there, that even though there's my name on that award,
right?
The message is far greater. This is for an entire nation. It's for a nation of young people who believe, who have dreams, who want to be innovative, who want to change their mindset and take things into control and say, listen, we want to make sure that our country gets to the next level. And then when you have a president like that who's coming in and saying, well, listen, I am proud of my young people who are doing great things, who are excelling and making sure that our country is visible in a positive light,
right,
on the global stage. That kind of support, is immense.
It's needed because the continent...
it makes a huge difference.
The continent at the moment, I mean, the 70% of the voting population is the youth.
Of course.
And I'm sure Malawi is not different.
Yes.
What is the percentage?
Oh, I think it's over 70, 80%.
Almost 80%.
Almost 80%.
And so they need to see the president as being on their side.
Yeah, of course. It's important.
I think that what the president has done by appointing you the ambassador for the whole country, globally, for tourism, culture, and the youth, that's a huge step.
100%.
A huge step, and I'm sure other African countries should emulate. When there's one person that has always traveled to different countries and showcasing Malawi. I mean, every time you come to the UK, you're always speaking Malawi. It's always like nobody can divert you. When you go to the US, you do the same. When you go to other parts of the world, you do the same. And so for me as well, I celebrate with you.
Thank you.
This is a win, not just for Malawi, but a win for all Africans.
100%.
To see that our leaders are actually recognizing what the youth are doing for their nation. Now,
but it just also shows that they're in
Yeah.
tune with their nation.
yes,
They understand what's going on, and visibly they're being intentional.
right,
You know, leaders that are intentional about making sure that their country elevates, it grows, putting people in the right places, working, and that for me is something that I believe every African country should strive towards. You know, Africa is rich in resources, creativity, so many things that if we start aligning properly, working together, having leaders that are listening, leaders that are open to uplift and work with the young people, we'll have a very huge transformation on that continent.
Now, so with your new position as a youth ambassador, let's talk about the youth ambassadorship first before the tourism and culture. How are you going to bring together the Malawian youth and the president on one round table? This will be a huge, probably the biggest round table ever. How will you bring them on this table to discuss, issues that are affecting the youth? I'm sure there's a lot of issues, maybe unemployment,
Yes.
Education sector. How are you going to manage this?
Well, when I was given the mandate, the tourism ambassadorship, I think my speech in there incorporated a variety of things. There's need for collaboration. There's a lot of need for identifying specific problems, because when you say youth, you can't bunch them all in one.
No.
You've got youth that are in the urban settings, you've got youth in the rural settings, and the needs and the problems are vast and and different. So the issue here is, one, to start identifying those key problems, but also now looking at mindset, that we need to shift ourselves. And if we can have leaders who are now saying, listen, okay, we believe in what you're doing, that's what you're good at, that's what you want to do, how do we enhance that industry? How do we move that industry to the next level? In the entertainment industry, for instance, we have an appointee who's an advisor to the president on arts. So that in its own is a way forward. Now we can communicate directly in terms of, these are the problems of this sector. Can we maybe look at this in terms of policy and what needs to be done, so that we can have a framework? For instance, now, if we have monetization on several platforms back home, you're now opening access to a lot of young people on their gadgets who are content creators.
Right. Yes.
And if you look at the world now in content creation, a lot of people are making huge amounts of money.
Where's Malawi on that?
We're starting. We're like in an infancy stage.
Right.
So these are some of the things during this trip now, where I'm looking at people,
companies that
are doing those kind of things. And I had a very brilliant chat over the weekend at the awards. With such young gentlemen who are doing exceptionally good stuff. They have companies that they've been running over a period of time, and they're saying, listen, we're keen to come to Malawi. We're keen to come to Malawi, sit with the youth, those who are interested in this avenue. How do we help them understand the business? What services can we go back and forth? And this is partnerships.
They want to collaborate. Isn't that incredible? These are British young youth.
British young youth. They're saying, listen, we heard your speech, and we see how passionate you are about developing the country and working with the government, and you have that support. Can we come in as young people who know how this particular field works, and maybe help the government enhance that aspect of job creation on the digital platforms, and how can we reach out to more and more young people? So these are the kind of things where, when you have a president that is that is accessible, when you come with accessible,
yes.
When you face such opportunities as I travel, it is easier for me to say, yes, let's go to Malawi, let's create seminars, let's create platforms where people who are interested in this can come in, and you've secured a certain element of the youth. Then you look at those in agriculture, who are young people interested in agriculture. What are the opportunities out here? Markets, partnerships, technologies. Can we bring that to the country? Can they have access? You have secured that element. Those in education. I sat down with a gentleman from a very interesting tech company, at the award ceremony. I was meeting so many people.
It was your day. It was your day. The king was there. So.
But also, it's also good to network and find things that can be used in those kind of situations. And this gentleman that I mentioned, he said, listen, we have platforms where children don't necessarily have to go to school now. They can easily access online on an app. They have all the curriculums that they need. And we have enrolled over 10,000 people so far in different African countries. We can also come to Malawi and figure out how can we now start transferring that education or those skills to people on different platforms. So as you can see, the idea is to figure out all the different opportunities that can be made available. Now we're starting to target specific youth who want to be doing this and that and so forth and so on. And I think by doing so, you start empowering the young people, giving them the knowledge, but also letting them understand that your time is now.
Right, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
As we always, the older generation always say, tell them,
tomorrow,
you are the future.
It's today.
I always tell them, no. If I ever tell you that you're the future,
yes,
no, tell me off, because that's not true. Because when the future comes, we never pass on the baton to them. So they need to
cling on to it.
Exactly.
The future is now.
But your president is passing on the baton.
100%. 100%.
For him to have appointed you in this significant role where you are talking about and publicizing tourism. Malawi is a beautiful country.
And it's a gem.
And in that room alone, so many, in that room alone, we had people from Liberia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Somaliland, Bangladesh, India. We had so many people at the Diaspora Economic Forum who were interested in Malawi. Some people have never even heard of Malawi.
Sure.
Of course, we had Nigerians in the room. They're always quite popular. But on that night, I must say, Malawi was actually quite popular. All because of you.
But also, no, we had a very good team that also came. We had the ambassador who was with us on that night, and the team from the embassy, and many other Malawians who, participated and came in support of the award. But also just to show that Malawi is united and that we're moving as one, and we're very intentional about making it a very successful country, and we want to be as loud as possible so that we can invite the world to Malawi.
Do you feel pressure? Because I think that role is huge. Do you feel pressure to achieve, as in the next 1 year, what do you want to achieve for Malawi, especially on the international globe? These really massive costumes. Yes. I never know the meanings of them, but I'm sure there's something behind all those costumes.
My clothes and costumes and things that I put on are, again, in reference to the fact that when you preserve culture the way it is, you lose culture. But when you modify it, you preserve it.
Right.
You see?
Interesting.
So that's sort of the way that I go about it. But
Wow. So in the next, I know you've said that you don't have pressure to achieve.
Sorry, I
but I'm going back to that question because people will be watching you.
Yes.
And we don't want people saying, Chakwera just gave you the post for what,
True.
So in the next year or two, what do you plan to achieve with your new position?
When I was appointed,
yeah,
initially I hit the ground running.
Right.
I was in Zanzibar, and we were looking at how to the partnership aspect. How do we now, for instance, get countries around us, to work together so we can start promoting destinations or packages together? One is to raise awareness of what we have as a country. People must be able to know. So when you say Malawi, say, oh yes, you have A, B, C, D. We have a beautiful lake. It's one of those countries where if you want to go to the lake, if you're a water person, we have a freshwater lake. If you're a mountain person, we've got the third highest mountain in the region.
Right.
If you want to go safari, we've got beautiful game reserves. If you want to be in the mountains, in the forest, we have absolutely everything. That's the kind of country it is. You want to go into farming?
Because most part of Malawi is rural, right?
Yes,
70%.
About 80%.
80%.
Yes, about 80%.
Amazing.
But to answer your question, my role and the legacy I want to leave, being entrusted to spread Malawi's wings across the globe, is to bring as much attention to it, bring as much investment and opportunity to the young people, especially the young people, because a country that believes in its young people believes in its future. You have to raise them right, you have to give them opportunity, you have to give them access to knowledge and the ability to thrive and grow. So my role really is to reach out to as many young people through this platform to say, how do we work together? What kind of projects do you have in place? Maybe you have desires and goals and things that you want to do. specific young people have already started approaching me with projects that they've wanted to do, and they said, well, in this position, we feel like it can advance this. Those are the kind of collaborations I'm speaking on. So even when I travel out here, the idea is to see, in Malawi, we already have these in line. Can we direct that traffic there? But also to create, I said that if Malawi has the right level of awareness, Malawi, in my opinion, can become top 5 richest countries on the continent.
Right, you've got some countries to contend with, but
oh
who
no,
says,
but
you
we're
know,
on a mission here.
Who says you can't?
We have to dream big. We
Yes,
have to dream
yes.
big. Pauline, I go by the saying in life that if you can't visualize it, you cannot obtain it in real life. I must first start seeing my country in that position.
Right.
Top 5 richest country
top 5
on
richest.
the continent.
Right.
So how do we achieve that? We need to bring investment. We need to make sure we market this country effectively. We need to empower the young people so that the engine of the country is running. We're earning, and lives are changing, and we're starting to develop our nation.
And so, if somebody was watching now that's interested in investing in Malawi, so what areas would you recommend? And number 2, what's the environment like? For the investors, usually they want to know, is there a lot of bureaucracy, red tape? What is it like?
No, Malawi is, I said in the meeting that Malawi is open 24/7.
Malawi is open 24/7.
Like Amazon.
Like Amazon.
What do I mean? The opportunities are endless.
Yes.
This is a country where there's room for growth, there's room for expansion. Obviously, red tape and things like that are available in every single part of the world that you go to. But Malawi has opportunity in a variety of fields, whether you want to go into agriculture, whether you want to go into mining, tourism itself. The opportunities of opening beautiful resorts and just services and facilities around the country is enormous. Agriculture. So all these sectors have massive, massive potential and opportunities. And I would invite people, because for me now to start going specifically into all of them might take long, but I would invite people to turn towards Malawi. Research a bit more on Malawi, get to see what beauty this country has to offer, what potential this country has to offer. There's so many government sites that already have, plans in terms of expansion, development goals, so you can also align and know what the country is looking at doing and see if your business would add value to what the country, wants to achieve. And in that manner, I'm sure that the country would be more than welcoming to, to such companies that want to develop and help the people of Malawi reach its potential.
And I suppose, the country is a peaceful country.
Of course.
It's a peaceful
Very
country.
peaceful.
And the people I know that know about Malawi, I think the first person they sort of think of is Madonna, and Rihanna.
Yes.
And so it's been known for, the social impacts, not for the business side of it. People don't want to come there and, do business. They want to come there and give aid.
Yeah.
How, with your role, how are you intending to change this perspective that it's trade, not aid, that Malawi needs?
I like that. And I think to answer that question, one of the things that I learned from the award ceremony, just listening to people speak of their experiences, a certain gentleman spoke. His name just has eluded me slightly, but he spoke eloquently and spoke about his experience in Africa and some of the things that he sees that need to start happening. And I think having that knowledge of people who've come in and have experienced, different sort of scenarios, investors, it becomes a good bridge for me now to go back and having a government that's listening and say, listen, can we please sit down and look at some of these issues where investors feel if maybe we change this or adapt it this way, it would be easier for that transaction to happen. But also the ability for such investors that are coming in the form of partnerships, not in the form of aid. We need to be very strategic in terms of our alliances and people that we let into our countries to do business. They need to be coming in to do business in terms of partnership, 50-50 partnership, not we're here to help you, because no one's doing anyone a favor.
So essentially that's going to be your role, to let people know, okay, Malawi is not just for aid.
No.
It's for trade.
It's for trade. We have the creativity, we have the capability, So come together, let's sit on a round table, figure out how that, whatever that transaction is, whatever that business looks like, but it must benefit the community, not just the people that are coming to invest. Yeah.
And so, how does the president feel about, your position now? What, obviously you got awarded the other day, and there's excitement. How does the president feel about you? And
well, I mean, from the post that I saw on on the page, he was in his message. He did say that he was grateful that I've been awarded, and he's very supportive. That endorsement, like I said, is very immense. But also, it just shows that what we're doing, or the path that I'm on after the appointment, is the right one, and we just need to keep moving. I'm also thankful to the team. This recognition couldn't have come into this place without the whole team working with us. So I think he's very happy, and he wants us to keep moving and keep delivering, and that is what we will do.
And of course, Malawi's election is around the corner, and there'll always be skeptics. There will always be people that will say, "Oh, is this an endorsement for elections? Or what is this?" I mean, at the moment, he's in government, and you're a citizen who has, who wants the best for his country. What would you tell those who might say, maybe it's politically inclined, or because you are a politician as well? In the last elections, you stood,
yes,
isn't it?
The last elections I did stand.
Yeah, you did stand. So essentially, you're a politician as well. Yeah. So for those who might think, well, this might be politically inclined, what would you tell them?
Well, Pauline, I think that it's very important to understand the role. The role is to develop the nation.
Yes.
And I think, one, that doesn't come with any political affiliation. We're looking at how do we take Malawi to the next level. And I think that also, in my capacity as I've come here as ambassador, it's to do with the country.
Yes.
How do we...
No political affiliation.
Not any political affiliation or any of sorts. But also, as I mentioned, that, noting that, but also to have a president who's also now highlighting, that particular agenda, to say we have a citizen in the country who's doing absolutely well. He's been promoting the country's culture and tourism for several years. And now he's getting awarded a prestigious award in the United Kingdom. I think that, for me, does not speak to any form of politics, but just country patriotism and pride. To say one of our own is doing absolutely well, let us support him, and I'm the first one, as the first citizen, to say salute to you, young man, keep doing what you're doing and make the country proud. That kind of attitude, I think, will help develop our nation. As we go towards the election, obviously everyone has their own mindset towards that.
Yes.
But for now, what we're dealing with is the country's development. What opportunities can we put in place to help the country grow?
Right now.
We don't have to wait for the election to happen for us to start doing things.
And investors don't want to get involved with the elections
and
anyway.
I don't think
they're ready to
investors
come
are
in.
keen
Yes.
to understand anything to do with country's election. It's a country that goes to a democratic process to elect the leader. They will do so.
Yes.
But right now, as we speak, as I'm here on this interview, I'm speaking to what I'm seeing in front of me, and that is, what a leader that, again, is open and is empowering and is uplifting. And I would say, if you have someone at the table at that particular point in time who's saying, let's work, let's build, I am here for the nation, I'm here for the young people of my country, and I've always been there to empower and help the growth of that country. And if I'm able to do that in this particular role, 100%, I dive right into it and make sure that by the time I'm out of this role, we have done so much achieving to help the young people of Malawi develop and change the country's face.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And for you as TAY GRIN, the Nyao King, what are you up to? Because I know you do a lot of things. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What are you up to? Like, well, shock us, you always come up with things without knowing,
I know, but this year, the focus really has been this role, and just me figuring out how to align everything that I do, so that it doesn't seem like one is being left behind and one role is being neglected. I'm releasing music, but as I'm releasing in fact, in a few days, I'll be releasing a new song.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Is that song in English or Chichewa?
So it's mixed.
It's a mix,
Chichewa
yeah.
and English.
Yeah.
If you don't understand Chichewa, you would definitely understand because there's enough English in there to direct you in the right path. The song is called Ndatega. It's a love. Ndatega.
Ndatega.
Yes. It's a love song and basically saying that I've shut my heart out and I'm only loving you.
Yeah. Okay. Is it dedicated to someone?
Well.
Come on.
You and many people would
lucky
love
lady.
to know.
Come on now. Spill the beans.
You and many
Spill
people.
the baked beans.
But so new music is coming out. Why did I mention that? Because within the music as well, I have started doing a lot more intentional filming.
Yeah.
So that I can now showcase my country, the variety aspects of my country, different aspects of my country,
Right.
which I've always been doing, but now a bit more enhanced. So that on the tourism side,
Yeah.
when the music is playing internationally, people also have an idea of what that looks like. We're working on collaborations with particular artists from different countries to come into to Malawi to work with the young people, further enhance the industry, so that even they too can make music and produce videos to further enhance the promotion of Malawi. We know all these beautiful countries around the world through their art, their music, their films. So why can't Malawi be one of that? So those are some of the projects in the pipeline that will, people will be able to see manifest over the period that is ahead of us.
Well, you didn't answer the question, so I think we're going to go in for a break. When we do come back, I'll still be on that, as in, who is that song dedicated to? Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You are watching Faithworld TV. Faithworld TV, changing the world with the Word of God.
Coming back. Welcome back. Yes, we are live again. And, I did ask a question.
Yes.
And
You're trying to probe and see
yes,
who the song
I'm
is
trying to probe. I'm trying to find out who is this song for. But I know you come up with a lot of love songs. And all of the songs that come up are usually a hit,
Thank you.
And I just wanted to know, what inspires you? Because, you're a young man. Is it that every time you fall in love, you have a song?
Do you know?
You don't have to watch because somebody might be watching. So be careful how you answer.
No.
Yes.
There's a saying about artists. They say that the more that you go through emotions in life,
Yes.
the more beautiful you write. The music.
So all the music that you've written,
yes,
is your own experience.
I would say so, because
Wow.
I try to put I put me into the music. So in terms of just and I feel like every human being has the capability of going through all the emotions.
Yes.
We can love, we can get angry, and I think when I'm writing the music, at that particular time, I sort of tap into that emotion. So maybe I was in love at one point in time. How did that feel? And I channel that into the music. Or maybe I'm currently in love.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
Currently love. Yes, I think that's the thing. Who's the lucky lady? You know what? I'll come on social media and try get all the answers out. But so I know you have a daughter.
I do.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Does she get involved in what you do? Does she listen to your music? Now she knows Daddy's in love with that latest song.
No, she does. I have a very beautiful relationship with her. If you listen to us speak and you weren't watching us, you'd think it's two adults having a conversation.
Really?
Yeah, maybe the one will have a lower tone voice.
Yeah, lower tone.
But the conversation
Soprano.
is so rich,
Yeah.
We touch upon a lot of things.
Yeah.
And every time we meet, so even some of the music, when I'm releasing, I'll bring her in and I'll play it for her. And she gives me her honest opinion. She goes, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, because your music is clean anyway, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, it's
is
clean.
Is there a reason why? Because, I mean, you could have gone the other way. And
I've never really thought about it, but I feel like...
or is it your mum is on your back? Because your
not
mum listens to your
necessarily.
music.
She does, yeah, but I
So
don't
she wouldn't
think it's
want
that.
any...
I think the reason why I started music plays a major role in that. And that's,
Okay.
and that's because when I started music, or when I ventured into music, I wanted to create music that resonated with the young generation, but also spoke to them in a way that they use their God-given talents to develop their country. So when you have pride in where you come from, and that starts by you being proud of your culture, you can then only when you know this is my thing, you hold on dearly to it and you do everything possible to protect it and nurture it and grow it. So that I think that's the reason why my music kind of took that form, where it's more, you know, it's very upbeat. I want you to be very happy, be in love, you know, develop your country, not fight and go to war.
Yeah. But I've never, any of your music been about like activism? I don't think so.
Well,
because you stay away from that. Why? Like, I always think that because you're so much into your country, I always thought that maybe one day you will bring a song that's probably, you know, like an activist, you know. But I've never
Not
heard of any
necessarily.
song.
Well, there's a song called Focus Africa.
Yeah.
And it's a call to all Africans, especially starting from Malawi, to say, look, we need to take pride in who we are. We are the future. Let's, you know, let's be intelligent about ourselves. You know, how we do specific things. Let's be intentional. Let's work together. One of the things that I always say is Africans need to learn, first of all, to work together.
Yes.
You know?
That's so key. You said that at the event the other day.
Yes.
But why I'm asking about this is, you know, artists sometimes would come up with songs that, okay, not blaming the government, not beating the government, but kind of, you know, trying to tell the government, please, you know, we're here, take care of us. That kind of, you know, that kind of song. I've never had that from you.
No.
Is there a reason why you're not going that way? Because you have a huge platform. You could use your song.
But I also feel sometimes you have to be careful with those kind of things, because then you start to marginalize your audience.
Right.
Right. The idea is not to attack anyone. The idea is to be able to sit and discuss as a nation. If I have the ability to have a conversation with people in key positions who can bring about the much needed change, and we have that access, I think that's a better form of dialogue. You know, I've always seen that even in situations where people have come to that extent of singing music, and that I think it's in the far extreme where there is no form of dialogue, or everything is really in its sort of, you know, and I don't think we have ever reached that kind of situation. But it's always also important when I'm on platforms like this to speak on those matters, and I think we've done that at quite some length. To say when there's good things that have happened, let's celebrate those. We shouldn't only pinpoint or point out bad things, because in any scenario, it's never the case where you find something perfect. That has never happened. So when good happens, let's celebrate it together. When bad happens, let's sit down together and figure out how to fix that. It's not the end of the world. So you
believe in giving the government a chance?
100%. 100%. We're all progress in life. We all develop. There are things we learn, and sometimes there are things we've done that maybe may not be right. But if we're listening and we are consistently trying to be better and make things better, why not give that person a chance?
And if there's a message that you could pass on to your president now about the youth, say the youth have sent you to the president, what message would you pass on?
First of all, I think we need to be thankful that he, not only for me, but there's been scenarios where, you know, he's engaged on different platforms with the youth. He's talked directly to them about some of their, you know, their ills and, you know, things that they want to see change. I feel like that needs to happen more. You know, others obviously will come and say, well, why now? Why is this happening now? But if it's happening, it's a good thing that it's happening. Because it never happened. So
yeah, obviously they'll be asking why now, because
right?
the elections are around the corner.
But it's happening. So do you shy away? No, you engage. Let's understand. I think more of those need to happen. Let's reach out to our youth. You know, let's reach out to our youth. My advice is, as much as you can, please reach out to as many of them, and find out exactly what needs to be done. What is their perspective on things? You know, I think one of the things culturally in Africa, when you are young, you are young. You know, they say you are young, sit over there.
Sit in that corner.
Sit in that corner, let that
That
us
don't
talk.
even be seen. Don't be seen. Don't be hard. Don't breathe. Don't cough.
Don't do
nothing.
anything.
Yeah.
No, we need to come out of that shell. And
Yes.
young people have great ideas.
So is this the message you're sending to the president,
Yes,
that young people are
have
here
great ideas
to
that-
have a conversation with
Yes.
you, open up, open up?
Yes, and that has already begun, and I think more of that needs to happen, and that would be amazing. If we can reach that level where every young person feels heard, there's an avenue where they can drop off issues, and issues are being listened to and are being dealt with. But also, as young people, like I said, we also need to switch on our minds to say, we have an engine up here, let's use it. You know, how do we maneuver? Yes, it might look like a dire situation, but every situation has a solution. Let's figure out how we can work together as a community. We need to hold hands as young people, and figure out how we can work together. That's why I was very keen on saying, as Africans, we need to learn how to work together. Because some of the problems they have, it's not necessarily the president who necessarily needs to solve all these problems.
Yeah,
As
we always
communities,
cry to the government
we always
because the
say-
government's our father and mother.
Yes.
Yes.
But what are we also doing? And then if we align and we come together and collectively have these conversations frequently, we can start providing solutions for each other. You know, examples as I gave earlier, that I've come across different companies here who I feel can help a certain sector back home. Why don't I take those? Those are the kind of solutions. So everyone who's traveling, who's moving, who's finding opportunity, always have your country in mind, have your young people in mind, so that we can together help build a nation.
You know what? This interview won't be complete if I didn't mention the girl child.
Yes.
Where is, your country placing the girl child?
I think, there's a lot of emphasis on that as well. And I think it's important.
Yeah.
It's important, as is the boy child.
As is,
You know, I personally took part as I was an ambassador for He for She, which is a UN agency that looks at the girl child. And I was, advocating, one, that they need to go to school, but also looking at school conditions, especially in the rural areas where you have situations where a young girl can't go to school because there's no facilities for her. Simple things like that, where when they come, they are so uncomfortable, they can't be in that premises, or there are no facilities to look after them, or there's that whole, stereotype thing where they're saying, no, girls must stay at home and not at school. So these are some of the things where I personally went out and advocated for that. No, the girl child needs to attend school. We did so much fundraising for reusable sanitary pads so that they can have facilities in some of these schools. And I know that government is also...
Is the government involved in this?
Of course, government is also pushing the same. And it's very important. We need to educate all our children. All our children need to have access to opportunity, access to education. A nation of educated people, and a nation that is well versed with what's going on around the world is capable of developing itself, and I think that is the main goal.
I mean, as we said earlier, that a nation that supports the youth is a nation that has a future.
Yes.
Because without the youth, there's no future. Although we keep
100%.
telling them, become present leaders. So let's go back to tourism. What is it that you want the world to know specifically about Malawi when it comes to tourism?
Well, as far as tourism, as I keep saying, Malawi is a gem. Malawi is open to the world. Malawi is peaceful. Malawi is beautiful. There is so many aspects in terms of opportunity, whether it is, again, mining, agriculture, the tourism sector, the music industry. There's so much talent back home, young people who are doing absolutely great creative stuff. The film industry is growing. Let us come to Malawi, let us invest, let's look at the opportunities. And I think it's simply just getting there. Come to Malawi. Once you're in, you'll be soaked with the warm heart of Africa. You won't want to leave and go anywhere else. But it's definitely a country that is you know, looking for partnerships.
Yeah.
You know, it's time we move forward, we start to grow our industries, and we are open for partnerships. And we're in a place where I think a lot of things will happen in the near future. So my final words is come visit Malawi, look towards Malawi. Malawi is open, Malawi is rising, and Malawi is ready for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in terms of culture, what is it that you're spearheading?
In terms of culture, again, is to let the world know who we are. And Malawi is a country.
Is it everyone speaks Chichewa?
So Chichewa and English
Okay.
are the main languages, but those are not the only languages spoken in the country. There's a variety of tribes. The country, you know.
How many tribes do you have?
Oh, there are quite a lot. There are quite a lot.
What, 50, 60?
There are quite a lot. The actual number,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you go up north, it's different. There's different tribes up north in the eastern region, southern region. You have the Lomwes, you have the Chewas, you have the Ngonis, Yaos, Tumpukas, Senas. So there's so many and so many different languages spoken, so many beautiful traditions that are practiced by all these different cultures. And at times when I travel, I always tend to just, you know, each area you go, you're embraced by a different culture. The food is different, the customs are different, even the clothing, the way they go about different things. So I always sort of, you know, enjoy different aspects.
Yes.
And all this is within one small country, you know. And that's the beauty of our country. And the beauty is that even though there's a vast amount of tribes and so forth, but we all live unified. It's very peaceful. You know, people practice different religions. So it's definitely the warm heart of Africa, and the place that I would advise you put on your to-do list, and you make sure you come out there. And
You can't take over Kenya, though.
Ah, I'm coming for Kenya.
What about the food? We haven't
The
tackled
food
the food.
is absolutely beautiful.
Because that's part of culture. What is your
100%.
main food?
So in Sima, which
Nsima
is
that
like ugali or
maize meal, ugali,
Yes,
yes.
it's made from maize meal. But again, because you have what we call kondole in the north. Which
What is that?
Kondole, which is made from
Cassava?
yes, made from cassava. It's
Is it like fufu?
Kind of like fufu, yes.
Okay.
It's a bit more, you know.
Like gooey.
Yeah, it's a bit
Yeah.
more gooey. And then the rest is nsima, which comes from maize flour. And then we have jambo.
What's that?
It's a tilapia.
Oh yeah, tilapia.
Yes.
That's because you get it from your lake,
Our
from
lake,
your
our
Malawi lake.
freshwater
Yes,
lake.
yes.
And it's so beautiful. And so those are the main national dishes. If you come to Malawi
Yes.
and you don't see the lake or
Yeah.
have jambo, then you have not come to Malawi.
Well, you know, anywhere where there's a lake, there's bright minds.
100%.
You know, I come from Kenya, from the lake region. You know, where Obama comes from. You know, we are all brilliant. You know, I'm not trying to brag, but
that's
you know,
what it is.
near the lake, a brilliant mind. So I am so convinced. Yes, Malawi, because you guys are brilliant minds.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, any Malawian that I've met, they are up there achieving greatness.
Yes.
And I mean, I've known you for, you know, I've followed what you're doing for, well, close to maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
And you have just gone from one level to the next great level, to the next great level, and you're always never stopping and taking other people with you.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. And I think you're an absolute asset to your country.
Thank you.
And you know, the role as an ambassador is huge, but I know that there's something greater coming for you. I don't know if you believe that, but I do believe it. And you know, this role as an ambassador is one that I would say I manifested.
Wow.
I manifested all of those years ago. I used to say, like, you know, you're doing so much for Malawi. I think you should be the official ambassador. And so when I saw in the news that you have been appointed, it's amazing. It's fantastic. And I just want to say special thank you to the President, Chakwera, Dr. Chakwera. You know, a country that encourages the youth is definitely a country that the rest of the world wants to associate with. So thank you so much, Mr. President. We appreciate, and you're setting an example for Africa that we will follow. Well, I don't want to let you go, but you have to go.
Yes.
You probably got a flight to catch, or you know, you're busy in London and
Yes.
you know all over the UK. But thank you so much for giving us this audience and for inspiring us and for being just that incredible African
Thank
that
you.
we are proud
Thank you.
to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what can I say? It's been absolutely incredible, you know, talking about Malawi. My viewers from all over the world, please tune in, find out more about Malawi. Let's meet there. It's a beautiful country. And until next time, goodbye.
You are watching Faithworld TV. Faithworld TV, changing the world with the Word of God.